Hello, I'm Mark Morial, President and CEO of the National Urban League, and your host for America's Black Forum, your source for topics and issues that matter to you. This week on ABF, the plight of the black farmer. Can the USDA plant a seed of hope for those who have experienced years of discrimination and unfair lending practices? Also, black art at its best. We're talking to the founder of Pigment International, an art collective redefining global arts, culture, and innovation. And finally, it's no secret black entrepreneurs haven't been able to participate in the growing marijuana industry. But why? We'll tackle that question and more when we talk to Wanda James, the first African-American woman to own a dispensary in the United States. Now for more on that story. Cannabis is the fastest growing industry in the United States, with a current annual market value of more than $18 billion. Yet the percentage of African American cannabis business owners remains staggeringly low, less than 2%. What are some of the barriers preventing blacks from entering the legal weed business, and how can those who enter succeed?
Wanda James is CEO of Denver, Colorado-based Simply Pure and is easily considered a titan in the cannabis industry. As the first legally licensed African Americans to own a dispensary, a cultivation facility, and edible company, James and her husband, Skandura, have been at the forefront of the legalized marijuana movement for more than a decade. Each month, their business produces about 125 pounds of cannabis and earns $4 million in sales annually.
So the businesses over the last 11 years that my husband and I have started have all come from the Simply Pure brand. We have both an adult use dispensary and a medical marijuana dispensary. We also have a grow facility, and we are definitively one of the most talked about dispensaries in America because of our voice for social justice and pushing the issue of A, ending mass incarceration, and B, getting African Americans and other people involved in the space, which may create generational wealth.
James is passionate about cannabis. She's witnessed its miraculous effect on those suffering from epilepsy, cancer, or simply a bad day. Although cannabis is not legal federally, it has been decriminalized in more than 24 states. 37 states have legalized medical marijuana, and 19 states have legalized it for recreational use. Despite the growing trend toward legal use, a report released by the American Civil Liberties Union cites Black Americans as 3.6 times more likely to be arrested for nonviolent cannabis crime than white Americans. As states enter the legal cannabis market, Brookings Institute expert Makata Henry Nickes says restorative justice must be central to their policies and views the holistic expungement of criminal records related to marijuana offenses as a critical first step.
When we are looking at 4% and fewer than 2% people who are Black entrepreneurs in the cannabis industry, when you know disproportionately we have borne near 90% of the collateral consequences of the war on drugs, it is an absolute non-negotiable that any of the state policies that we are contending with currently on the books or envisioning shaping in the near future have to really go through and deal with this question of racial justice, restorative reforms up front and front and center, because there's just no way to, I think, really advance a meaningful, inclusive cannabis sector without taking on this broader idea of inclusion.
Access to capital and local government regulations also create barriers for Black entrepreneurs who want to own a cannabis business.
When my husband and I got involved over 11 years ago, our first dispensary may have cost us $200,000. Today, you're going to need $1 million plus. And when I say $1 million, good luck on doing it with $1 million. More than likely, you're going to need $3 to $5 million, $3 to $20 million, depending on the state and the number of licenses available and the cost of licensing, regulatory framework, testing equipment, security cameras, and build out.
Despite the financial challenges, James sees an enormous opportunity for African Americans who are willing to enter the cannabis industry.
So there is so much room, but we have to figure out how to get in. Bloom where you're planted, come with your best cannabis product. Partner with people that you know who are already in the industry that are looking for new products to be able to produce. Aunt Flo's Bun Cake might be the next big thing that hits.
Owning a dispensary isn't the only way to enter the cannabis industry. Take Berwyn Thompkins, founder of IGTM, or I've Got the Munchies. Thompkins has carved out his territory as a cannabis education consultant, trainer, and event manager. He has made a name for himself by helping his trainees secure licensing in the state of Illinois. His classroom is in the basement of Mocasa's barbershop. On Sunday mornings, cannabis entrepreneurs and those hoping to enter the industry gather to discuss the cannabis business.
I'm from a community that's been ravaged by drugs and the war on drugs, so I saw it as a way to turn it around and actually help our communities by empowering, by educating, by showing different ways in cannabis how you can make money.
They would say edibles is more better to consume more than the actual smoke.
That's a good question. So, as it reflects right now, the industry standard is they want us to believe that the plant is the biggest selling thing, and it's not. The biggest seller in cannabis is infused food items. Second is oil, which is considered the vapes. Flower is actually third. The third biggest selling thing. So that was why I told almost everybody, get into the infused food side, get into that sector, because you always gonna have more food product. We all kind of know the negative impact that cannabis has had as far as the stigma, and through education and through awareness and through letting people know medicinally what cannabis can do, financially what cannabis can do, and how it can change the economics of our community, I think should be the focus.
I need the Black community to decide to come into cannabis. Open your mind to what this plant can do.
The National Urban League recently released its equitable cannabis legalization policy, calling for true equity and non-discriminatory practices. For more information, visit our website at americasblackforum.com. Coming up next, the story of the Black farmer seems to be a never-ending book of disappointment.